we have to stitch this top, kind of like you see in the example of this, where it's all across here. I did do some burnishing off camera of all these edges. Now there's part of me that wish I did it while it was not attached to the main piece here, but I can't guarantee that how well the edges would be, but I think I was worried about it not going towards this and closing the gap more, and also being hard to stitch through the holes because they're kind of sealed in with the gum. But here we are, and now we're going to get started with this. So what we want to do with this stitching, the stitching holes, is we want pretty side on the outside here, and then basically what we want to do is we want to go skip the first hole and go to second and third, because this one is for the stitching line all the way. Now when I was punching holes the first time on the first piece, which is the card side, so it's going to be hard to replace, and we notice afterwards is that unfortunately it's too close to the edge, so that's something I have to worry about. I might try to stitch it first carefully and then glue it just to make sure it stays in place, and then do the burnishing with the gum and everything, and that all seals together. I'm not sure, but my uncle did an awesome job to see it, but he cleared off the shop. There used to be stuff here. I didn't even ask him to do it. He just did it for me. He's awesome. Wants to make sure that I have everything I need here, plenty of space, and I feel like I'm consuming a lot more space because all the tools and stuff, so I don't know what I'm going to do in the future if I ever move, because that is going to be a problem for future me. So we're going to go all the way across there. I'm going to move this down a little bit more, and then we're going to do a time lapse. All this stuff is going to be tough. So it's thin here, but it's actually still thick here. So that's going to be a challenge, trying to bend this and also get to sew through. But I think with the stitching alone, it'll hold it together, but we'll see. Should have did a little bit more sanding, but that's okay. All right, the moment of truth. Stitching the final two pieces together. I could do some more burnishing, but I'll do that once I'm inside there. I think that'll be okay. But yeah, I gotta put these together. So I mentioned earlier, on this side it's a little bit too close, so I have to be careful. But I'm gonna start stitching this way, and then like just kind of like basically put it together. And then once I'm done, then I'll sand the edges down and get it all nice and pretty looking. But overall, for shrunken shoulder, it didn't stretch too much. Of course, I did recut it and compare it to the template, and we'll see if anything misaligns. There's probably some finishing touches. I might use glue for some pieces, but we're here. Now I gotta measure it and cut out the twine, the thread that I need to use, and then we'll just go from there. Just gotta stitch this all the way around. I'm kind of keeping it loose up here, that way all the holes line up. That way it's not fighting anything. But this thread is super long, so it's going to be a lot harder because it's going to get caught on everything. Kind of tell that those got too close to the edge, so they're not like a full loop. So I had to like move the nubs up a little bit more and then continue stitching. I had to do the same over here too, because I'm going to do the burnishing, so this will all seal, but until then I have to hold it over. Be nice with the camera focus. So at the very end, the stitch broke, so it kind of went in there. So I have to glue it together and just hope it looks okay. But of course it happened on the last second to the last hole. Alright, so stitching went good overall except at the very end, very disappointing. Um, and also how like this went over a little bit too close to the edge. I think the lesson learned here is allow more than 3 millimeters of tolerance. Maybe 5 would be good. I forget how small 5 millimeters is until I start like actually using it. And the thing is, like cutting cardboard and cork fabric and stuff, you can get that close to tolerance, but not with leather. You have to give it a little bit more room to breathe and stuff like that. So that is a lesson learned here. So I might have to hit the design thing and make it a little bit bigger. Maybe design the inner pieces to be using less materials. Overall, I'm very happy with it. Now I'm going to let the glue dry on that corner there. I was thinking about reinforcing all this, but this doesn't really need it because I already put the glue where I felt like the places are weak and stuff like that. It folds over kind of weirdly, but I think after you apply pressure, get the form nice and flat, it'll stay together. And plus the cards inside will help with that too. So pretty happy with it. Now I wish it didn't take so long, but on top of it, I'm working full time and stuff like that. But pretty happy with it. I think the person will be happy with it, hopefully. If not, then I'll just make a V2 for them and then use this as my daily driver to see how well it holds up. I still got to shave down the sides and then burnish it, so this is not the complete product, but we are getting there. So I'm gonna call it a day. It's been an hour and 40 minutes for all these recordings, and yeah, I'm gonna shut down and play some video games. All right, so I sanded all the edges down. Problem is, I need to give more room for the threads because 3 millimeters is not enough. Not sure if you can see that, but might have to rack the focus manually. So as you can see, it's a little bit close. So when I was shaving, I was getting on that. That's why I always heat up the thread. So it's like a harder plastic than anything. But that's just a side point. Once I burnish all this, it should all come out really nice. It's going to be darkened around the edge. So hopefully that works. If it doesn't, then I'm kind of screwed. I didn't really do much in the inside. I was going to do like a copper lining, but I didn't know how it would fare. And I was told that some people might like that. So who knows? I'm going to use my hand to apply this stuff. And basically, we're just going to go from there. And just start here. I don't know about this part where it splits off. I don't know. We'll see. And just go from there. All right. So I'm pretty much at the finishing parts of finishing this wallet. Things I should do better with the Nets template is on the edge, give myself instead of 3 millimeters, 5 millimeters, because sometimes this moves a little bit. Now, it was okay for this, but yeah, for this type of thing, it was much harder to do. And it might be because it was just an edge piece and how the holes were punched. But as you can see, I'm just sanding out these parts. So you can see like it's darker here and it's lighter here because I'm going with this little sanding stick, we'll call it. And just because I glued everything where it needs to be glued and together, I'm just smoothing it out by hand. Yes, I can use the sander at this point, but I want to be very careful and just slowly do it. So you can't really see me doing the work. Um, so I'm just going to go nice and easy and just slowly just shave it. I don't want to do too much, but I just don't want like bulging out or anything like that. And because I glued it together, it's not going to separate. But I kind of just want to round these edges off. And I can do that with this, with some like back and forth, not go too crazy. Because sometimes when you're using the sanding Dremel bit thing, you know, it can catch and then break something else. Whereas like this might be a little bit more, like I could be more careful with this. And yes, it's a little bit slower, but I'm not here to do a fast one. I'm here to make a good, or try to make a good wallet. There's some mistakes I see, but that's the problem. Is like I'll see these mistakes because I want it to be pretty much perfect. Whereas like the person that will be using this wallet might not see those imperfections, or they will, but they might not care. Yeah. That's why when I sell these, they're going to be done already, and the pictures will be what you buy is what you is the same one that's in the picture. That way, because I can't make these to order, it would take too long, too many wait times and stuff, and failed expectations because there might be a little challenge and stuff like that because they expect it to come out this way, or maybe they like a certain design. They're like, oh, I like to stitch in that, and it's a little bit different because of something that happened with the hide. So this will be one of those things where I smooth it out and then I just recourse it and then go on, so forth and so on. But basically with the design, I need to give myself more room. I do 3mm offset for the stitching holes, but that's not enough. And I am putting this stuff all over the place, but it's not as much dust as if I was using the Dremel sander thing. My tool is like running out of battery, so I'm going to do everything by hand at this point, and let's go from there. This will be a good mic test to see, excuse me, how good the audio is. I gotta go a lot faster, and honestly, I don't like how things are all made, so this is good doing it like this. I will keep that sander because that tool, because that might be useful one day for other things. You never know. It's always when you get rid of it, you're like, oh crap, I need this. Okay, it's getting tacky, so that's my cue to start. Alright, I'm going to do a quick tour with this wallet. So, Things for membership cards are back there. A little bit fluffy, but if he likes it like that, then I'll keep it like that. If not, I can always just go and then burnish that to make it nice and smooth. Edging looks pretty good. Right now the walt's fighting to maintain the folding shape, but that's what a weight can do, because I can just like grab one of these and put a weight on top of it and then be all set.